Hello and welcome. If you're weighing up schools in Melbourne or wondering whether to stay put, you've likely felt this. Loads of data, not much clarity. NAPLAN, VCE, Études, My School, climate surveys. So many numbers, so little sense of what they mean over time. Today, I'll give you a simple, local, evidence-based way to decide when those indicators show genuine improvement and when they're just noise. Here's the mindset shift. Don't be seduced by a single year or a single metric. The best decisions come from tracking sustained, cross-indicator trends that hold up after you account for shifting cohorts, subject mixes, and the local environment. It's the pattern over time that tells the real story. What counts as a strong set of indicators in Melbourne? Start with NAPLAN matched cohort growth, years 3 to 5, 5 to 7, and 7 to 9. Add VCE outcomes, median study score, proportion of 40-plus study scores, subject scaling patterns, ATAR distributions, and retention from year 10 to 12. Layer in student attitudes to school, school staff survey, parent opinion survey, attendance overall and for vulnerable cohorts, post-school destinations via On Track, and enrollment and demographic shifts, ICEA, EALD, and the proportion of students with disability. Zoom out for context. International assessments like PISA and TIMSS don't rate individual schools, but they set the backdrop. In years when statewide standards dip, a school that holds steady may be improving relative to the environment. Australia has seen periods of stagnation in reading and maths. Use that to benchmark a school's trajectory. Here's an insider tip. Schools that improve across multiple measures at once are far more likely to sustain those gains over 5 years than schools with a single metric bump. The most reliable schools show coherent improvement. Gains that connect logically across measures and time. Apply these 5 tests straight away. 1. Consistency across measures. Real improvement shows up in more than one indicator, and they make sense together. NAPLAN growth improves. A couple of years later, VCE strengthens. Then you see better uni offers or quality apprenticeships. That's teaching and learning getting better. 2. Growth, not just attainment. Look at matched cohort growth. Say year 7 to 9, relative to similar schools by ICEA. This shows value add, not just intake strength. Modest raw scores with strong growth can be a better fit than high attainment with flat growth. 3. Equity narrows. Gains should reach EALD students, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander students, students with disability, and lower ICEA cohorts. If only the top lifts, the school hasn't truly improved. 4. Sustained over time. Look for at least 3 years of improvement that survives normal cohort variability. 1-year spikes are usually noise or post-COVID tutoring effects. 5. Plausible cause. You should see visible changes in practice, explicit literacy, better moderation, targeted attendance work, and a clear theory of action linking actions to outcomes. When you visit a school, ask what's changed in the last 3 to 4 years and how they measure impact. Schools with genuine improvement give specific answers and have the data to back it up. Now, read each indicator like an expert. Start with NAPLAN, Melbourne's most honest medium-term signal. Focus on matched cohort growth across 2-year windows, not raw achievement bands. Look for above-expected growth relative to similar schools for at least 2 cycles. Check whether the bottom and middle are moving, not just the top. Watch for consistency across domains. Reading and writing typically move together when teaching improves. If reading jumps, but writing drops, ask why. On the VCE side, don't stop at the median or proportion of 40-plus scores. Look for broad-based lift across English, maths, and major sciences, not just boutique subjects. Check whether subject choices and scaling are inflating the headline. Scan the ATAR distribution. Are the middle bands getting healthier? What's happening to retention from year 10 to 12? Are more students staying and succeeding? VCE improvements usually lag NAPLAN growth by a couple of years. Rising growth followed by stronger VCE is a coherent story. Great VCE with flat growth and shrinking high-need cohorts between year 10 and 12 is a warning sign. Climate and engagement often move first. When student engagement, teacher collaboration, and orderly environments improve, academic gains tend to follow within a year or two. Listen for specifics: shared planning time, common instructional routines, moderation practices, and students reporting high expectations and strong relationships. A climate dip without a recovery plan is worth probing. Attendance is a powerful lever. Look for gains overall and for vulnerable cohorts. In Victoria, regular attendance below 90% is a risk flag. Moving key groups from the mid-80s to low 90s and sustaining it usually precedes achievement gains. Post-school destinations show whether Year 12 results translate into real opportunities. On track should show sustained increases in university offers and acceptances where appropriate, alongside strong TAFE and apprenticeship placements. The destination mix should match the school's programs and the local labor market. One-year jumps can be noise. Three-year trends matter. Enrollment and demographics keep you honest. If ICSEA rises through gentrification or intake changes, raw results might lift without better teaching. If a school enrolls more high-need students, attainment may hold steady while value-add improves. Rapid growth can cause temporary turbulence. Always ask how the intake is changing and how the school is adapting. Here's a simple kitchen table checklist. 1. Get clear on your child, temperament, needs, and ideal environment. 2. Pull a 5-year view of indicators: NAPLAN growth, VCE patterns, climate and attendance, destinations, enrollments, and demographics. 3. Apply the 5 tests: consistency across measures, growth, not just attainment, equity narrows, sustained over time, and plausible cause. If a school passes 4 out of 5 convincingly, you likely have genuine improvement. When you tour schools, try focus questions. What specific changes have you made in teaching in the last 3 to 4 years? How do you know they've worked? What does growth look like for students at the bottom, middle, and top? How do you moderate VCE assessments across subjects? What targeted attendance strategies are in place, and what impact have they had? How do you support EALD learners and students with disability? How do you track post-school outcomes and feed that back into programs? A few red flags: celebrating a single year's headline without a multi-year trend. Heavy focus on top-end ATARs with little growth in the middle. Explanations that blame cohorts instead of describing changed practice. Marketing that's all facilities and no teaching. Hidden attrition, big drops from year 10 to 12 without a clear plan. Cherry-picking data while ignoring intake changes. Let's compare 2 schools. School A advertises a high VCE median and a list of 99+ ATARs. Look closely. NAPLAN growth is flat, writing lags reading, and many students leave after year 10. School B has a modest VCE median, but 3 cycles of above-expected NAPLAN growth, rising 40+ scores across a broad range of subjects, improved attendance for vulnerable cohorts, and a shift in destinations toward quality apprenticeships and university offers. Staff climate is up, and they can describe concrete changes: explicit literacy routines, common rubrics, tighter moderation. If I had to back one to serve most students well over the next 5 years, I'm choosing School B. Remember the bigger context. If statewide standards wobble, a school that holds steady could be improving relatively. If demographic shifts raise ICSEA, a school might look better on paper without adding value. That's why a coherent story across indicators, time, and cause matters more than any single number. Take a breath. You don't need to be a data analyst. Focus on the pattern, not the spike. Look for growth, equity, and consistency. Ask for the why behind the what. When multiple indicators move together over multiple years with a plausible cause, you're seeing the real thing. If this helped, there are guides that unpack VCE, NAPLAN, and value-added data in plain language. But even with today's framework, you're better equipped than most to see through the noise and choose a school that's genuinely improving, and likely to keep doing so while your child is there. Thanks for listening, and all the best as you make this important choice.